Had a few technical difficulties, so let's start it up again real quick. All right, mic check, mic check. More Masters podcast. I mean, of course. Let me say it slow for the people in the back. Mic check, mic check. More than the Masters podcast. Your host, Maine, of course. Back with another Thinking Out Loud. This is number 60, if I'm correct. I think it's 60. 60 a lot. 60 diary entries, 60 journal entries, 60 pieces of my mind, First and foremost, I want to thank all the supporters, listeners, everybody who listened to the podcast, everybody who shared the podcast last week before that, this week. I got a lot of feedback on Instagram this week through the stories. I know I put a lot of stories out versus clips and reels. Sometimes I do that because I don't want reels live on. Like I want them to live on for a long time, right? When I do a story or like I'm putting my story, it's just for the time being. I think it's funny for that day. It's nothing that I want to, have out there in the ether. It's just something so people can know. Go check that out if you like it. So shout out to y'all for the major amount of support that y'all been giving me. I am not going to start this one with music because I don't have the time. I just recorded a podcast that was almost 2 hours, which is amazing, by the way. I'm not sure if I'm putting this out first or the podcast out first, but I'll probably put this one out first just because of how I am. But I do want to introduce y'all to the podcast. So I had Lacey Doe, who y'all know from Credit Repair. She was on here a couple times. She also was on my Scarred series that I did. And then I had her dad, Donald Doe, who was on here with his wife, and they had the financial consulting services a couple weeks ago. Amazing episode, amazing podcast. Real quick, just to get into it, just give you a synopsis of what that was about. I got hit up, and I was given the pleasure of kind of navigating a conversation between them two about their father-daughter relationship. Talk about pressure, right? That was very, I ain't gonna say intense, but very eye-opening to other things in life, just other, and I'm a father of a daughter, of daughters rather. So I, I, I thought about a lot during that conversation between them. I seen some areas where I may need to improve in. I seen some things that they're just gonna happen. So now I know it's just gonna happen. Amazing episode. Both were very open, candid, very very direct, very personal. So I thought that was an amazing podcast. So that would be out on Monday morning. So listen to that in its entirety. A lot of gems there, especially towards the end. I thought that was amazing episode. So shout out to them for that. But you know, uh, I ain't gonna be too long on this. I promise. I ain't. This is just real quick. Uh, I I got to ask a question the other day, right? And I was on the phone with someone. Actually, I was on the phone setting up that podcast. I think that person overheard me setting it up and how we were gonna go about it and tackle it. They say, "Hey, Maine." I mean, it was in work, so I'd rather be called Jermaine at work, but it's fine. She said, hey, Maine, what do you do outside of here?" And I was like, "Who are you?" I said, it took me a minute to say it. I really was like, I was like, I said, let's just say I talk. I talk professionally. Let's say that. I talk for a living outside of here. And she goes, I can see that because you talk well here. You articulate very well. So I can see you doing that. Which, then shout out to me because I feel like I can't talk worth the damn. But shout out to me for getting kudos, right? And all that. But in hindsight, I'm looking like, damn, what reason did I have not to just say, oh, I podcast? I'm a podcaster. I have my own podcast. Like, why didn't I say that, right? And I know why I didn't say it now. I think that, let me not say that. Podcasting has become so accessible that it is now in a lot of the wrong hands. Meaning, anybody can go buy a microphone. Anybody can go. You don't need to buy audio equipment. You can have the audio stuff here. Anybody can go rent out a studio. And now they have podcasting prices. That's crazy. When I started, they didn't have podcasting prices. It was like, you come in to record a track, it's XYZ per hour. That's it. They got podcast ratings now for studios. It's easily accessible now. It's easier to do. More hands in the pot. It's a trend thing. It's a trendy it's a trendy entity right now. It's trendy. So a lot of people are just trying their hand at it. A lot of people are just experimenting. I want a podcast tomorrow. Why? I don't know, man. Me and my friend, we had a 15-minute long conversation. We said, you know what? People need to hear what we talking about. Okay. I'll give it to you. I'm not going to sit here and diss nobody, right? And I think even the idea of being in a podcaster is like, it's crazy now. Like, me and Slim was talking about on Main and Slim, and we mentioned that people look at podcasters like nerds, or that might have been a word he used, nerds, maybe uncool. I don't know. That part I don't really care about. Like, I'm not worried about myself being looked at as a nerd. I don't think that's gonna happen. And I hold I hold my own weight. So any negative ideologies anybody has about podcasters, they have to just find out with me that that's not it. But take that out of it. I just think that so many people are doing it now that they're giving podcasting a bad name as far as the topics they choose to talk about, as far as how these conversations are going, right? I miss podcasting when I would say, oh, I got a podcast. Oh, what's that? I miss those days. Now you talking about you got a podcast, and the first question they ask is, you should do one on this topic. Like, whoa, that ain't that. I don't need that, bro. I've been doing it. I'm good. I don't need the topics. I don't blame Kevin Samuels. I don't blame a lot of the gender war starters. But that definitely hurt podcasting. This is because now, in most people's mind, if you got an idea about how the opposite sex, the opposite gender, or how somebody should live, instantly you think it's podcast material, and you like, I start a podcast. So I said to say, it's so many people doing this. I'll be damned if I feel like I got something in common with some of these people. And that's even with people I know. There's some people I know, and I'm like, oh, wow, you podcasting too? Jesus Christ. You don't want nothing in common with them. Now, granted, I feel like can't nobody run your race, can't nobody do what you do. So the lane that I set for myself in podcasting, I feel like that's me. That's my lane, and I'm comfortable in there, and I'm in there alone. If there are people in there, I don't even see them. I'm just tunnel vision. I'm just driving my own lane. I don't care who on the side of me, in front of me, behind me. I'm just tunnel vision. But what happens a lot of times, you got the same birds of a feather flock together. You just get grouped into these things. You get grouped in, and I hate the fact that now it's so easy to group me in with people who aren't taking the craft as serious as I've taken it and as I take it. So that bothers me. But it really bothers me the fact that I couldn't just go and say, "Oh, I podcast." Like, it's almost like I was about to choke when I was like, what you mean? What I do? Like, what do you know? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, that bothered me. But aside from that, I'm always I'm gonna continue the podcast. I love doing it. It's something I choose to do. It's something I love to do. People come and go, but that's the nature of the business, and it's a lucrative business right now for a lot of people. It's a LLC gold mine. So what can you do, right? So that's that. Shout out to all the podcasters out there. From here, not from here. Doing it right, not doing it right. So anyway, my sister sent me a screenshot the other day, and I want to read that, man. I heard it was a good message. It says, I've mentally thought about this last week and just now actually having time to sit down and text it. So read the whole thing. Know how you be. All right. She says, remember when we were first teaching me how to drive? Or drive down the street? We lived in Salem Moms. I pulled out on Rozier Road, and I was driving slow as fuck. I laugh now because as a person who can drive, I'd be mad if I was behind me. I'm going like less than 20 miles, and you kept telling me that I can stay on this speed if I was comfortable, even with people honking and a long line of cars behind me. Then you said, if you're comfortable and you're confident here, stay here. If they want to pass you, they'll find a way. And that really always hit deeper than driving to me. a memory I think about often. Really, just a reminder to let everybody else around you do what they do. As long as you're confident where you are, you don't have to speed up for anyone else. So I thought about that and I said, well, damn, I shouldn't have to hide the fact that I podcast or be embarrassed of the fact that I podcast. If Joe, Robbie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike wants to do a podcast and they're podcasting, I let them stay in the lane and continue to do what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? Continue to do me, continue to be consistent and put out great content and separate myself from the rest of the pack. Okay? I also feel as though that's a good life lesson too. A lot of times we feel like because somebody else got something, we need to have something. Because somebody else is somewhere else, we need to be somewhere else. I'm 25, you 25, you got a house, I don't have a house. I feel like I'm behind in life. And that ain't always the case. I had a test my other day. I was at work and we had a conversation and he mentioned about him being an asset to a certain part of the store. And I told him, I said, I'm not trying to burst your bubble or nothing like that, but you're not an asset at all. You just work here. You're not an asset. I said, none of us are, not even me. I could be the man in charge of this building. I'm not an asset. Assets aren't easily replaced. They replace me in a heartbeat. They replace the guy that they sent out of here in a heartbeat with me. That's not an asset, And I think he thought I was trying to belittle his position. But I told him, I said, no, even me, I don't care. I can be the head honcho in here. I'm not an asset. Not an asset. I'll get replaced in a heartbeat. Quick, not an asset. But, I think in life, we tend to have this competition, have this weird rat race where I gotta be here if somebody else is here. There's nothing wrong with using people around you or things around you as a gauge to things you may be doing or should be doing in life, but it can't be the end all be all. It just can't be the end all be all. I often say it, all the time. Comparison is a thief of joy, and I completely wholeheartedly stand on that. I feel like the more you compare yourself to somebody, the more you're stealing yourself of some kind of joy you could be getting. That person's life is that person's life. Your life is your life. That person's lane is that person's lane. Your lane is your lane. Right? So with that message, though, I just felt like it was dope that, here I was 17, 18, trying to teach my little sister how to drive, and I'm dropping life lessons, She also mentioned that she thought I was going to respond in a week. So, for anybody that think that I don't text back quick enough, this is my sister. I grew up with my blood sister, my twin, all right? And she thought that I would take a week to text her back. So when I take 4 hours to text you back, I own the attitude. My sister knows. Give me a week, all right? I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was telling them all I had going on, and I feel like sometimes you can be busy and somebody just think you're just ignoring them or whatever, you don't have time, but the fact that it is, it's 24 hours in a day. It's 24 hours in a day, and for a good chunk of them, 5 to 6 hours, most of us sleep. So you take that 24 and you give yourself 18, right? You don't have that much time. You spend 10 hours at work, 2 hours here, this how, it's like you break it up, and it's not enough time in a day, right? Aside from feeling the weight of the weight of the world on your shoulders, knowing you got to be there for certain people. So sometimes it's not the fact that I'm busy; it's the fact that I'm taking care of so many people. My mom texted me the other day, and I thought it was dope that she texted me the other day. And she said, "Well, how you doing?" And I didn't get it. She was like, "Well, I always ask you, to check on this person and check on that person, but I never stop and check on you." Granted, I'm not a super emotional person. I'm not needing to be checked on or nothing like that. I know what I got ahead of me. I know what's in front of me. I know what's attainable, what I can grab, and I know what it's going to take to get there. But I think that I often know that people need me to be around to do certain things. So whether it's my daughters that need my mom, my brother, my sister, now my dad, my job, it's a bunch of different entities or people rather, I'm sorry, that just need me to be there and be physically there, or just they need me to hear them out. Need me to listen to them, need me to get something for them, need them to take them somewhere. I need to do this for so many different people. And sometimes it can get overwhelming. I'm not gonna say a lie. It gets super overwhelming sometimes, and you want alone time. Like I want to be alone. Like sometimes, the reason why I do Thinkin Out Loud, because sometimes it's the only time I get to myself. Literally, sometimes in a day, the only time I get to myself when I come to the studio, I've came here and set up and just sat here sometimes and didn't even record nothing. Just sit here and you just be to yourself. You know, I'm not saying I want to. What's the term people using? A self care day. I'm not big on that. I'm a man. I'm good. Not saying I can't do self care, but for me dedicating a whole day just to myself is kind of selfish. Give me 2-3 hours to myself. I'm good to go. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying I need a self care day, but like I said, when you got so much on you and so much riding on your everyday moves, your everyday decisions, your everyday day to day, like it's so much riding on that. Like whether it's my pop, whether it's my mom, whether it's my kids, my two daughters, whether it's their mom, whether it's somebody I'm dealing with, some other, regardless of who, it's so much there that people just need you to be accessible, and sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm closed off, and I think I'm afforded that time, because if not, then I'll crash. You'll crash. You'll crash if you can't if you don't know when to unplug. You'll crash, and you take unplugging from work. I have to unplug from responsibilities sometimes. I'm not saying I'm not gonna leave it on the table. I need to unplug a little bit. Like I need time to do nothing. Like I want to be okay with doing nothing sometimes. Like I would love to have a block on my schedule where it's just 45 minutes of me just doing nothing. If I could do that every day consistently, I'd be great. I feel like it's like a rat race. You're doing so much every day. You're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing that. Waking up in the morning, kid to school. Once kid goes to school, it's work, 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 work. Leave about 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Kid get ready to school, giving them baths, do homework with them, you play, you joke, tickle, ha ha. It's 11 o'clock now. Now I'm time for me to get ready. Time for me to do so. I don't have time I don't have time for a lot of other that other stuff. I don't have the time. I don't have the time, and I think that sometimes people don't. They don't understand that, And I think the main thing I've noticed, and this is just me right now, me personally thinking, like I've started to have a very dislikeness for lazy people, and I've been starting to categorize people as lazy. And when I say lazy, I'm not saying you don't do nothing at all. You can work all day and still be lazy. It's just certain things that, and you know what? Good things that happen to lazy people for no reason sometimes. And I have to distance myself from them kind of people because you'll start to think that it's supposed to be that way. Like you're supposed to be lazy and you'll get rewarded. No. I mean, sometimes the way the cards is dealt for some people, they get rewarded for being lazy. Fine. But I do know hard work pays off. So I have to distance myself from people that think it's lazy. Like if I feel like you making excuses all the time, you just inconsistent with a lot of stuff, you just always got some damn barrier in your way that you just can't get around. I want to get away from me. Like you just, not only are you lazy, you're lazy. You plan poorly. You just don't care. You just live it. You freestyle. I don't want to be around anybody that's freestyling life. I'm not saying you can't have a day where you just do whatever. No, but just freestyling through life, that ain't. I don't want to be around that. So I've been having to deal with that, like deal with being around somebody who I feel is lazy. Whether it's my peer I'm working with, whether it's a couple of peers I'm working with, whether it's something I'm seeing, somebody I know, a peer in podcast, whatever. Like people just are naturally just lazy, and that bothers me. Don't get me wrong. I'm not the cleanliest person. I ain't gonna always clean up the room, or I'm not that. But that's the reason why I'm always on the move. I think if I had time, like I had 3 hours to do something, I would clean up. I don't mind clean up. I don't have time. Once I wake up, I'm on go from there. Like the minute I wake up, life is on go for me. I can't speak for anybody else. Life is on go for me. The minute I wake up, it's a wrap. I'm on go. That's that. I can't speak for anybody else though. That's just me though, man. And I don't know. I don't know how to do that. Like I don't know how to wake up one day and uh not the things you do don't affect other people. If I just stop working today, it's gonna affect my kids, gonna affect my mom, affect this, affect it's so much people you taking care of, rather not taking care of, but it's so much people that rely on you to not be lazy that you can't be lazy. I can't afford to be lazy. Not even just my own bills, but for the sake of what I got going on. And I envy those that can. I envy people that can. I don't have but maybe one person, and maybe, and I mean that I ain't gonna say maybe. I'm gonna say I do. I don't have but one person that and it's only in the financial sense. I think that if I came into a bind, I had a problem, a roadblock, I can go to that person and I got it. Whatever I wanted, I got it. I don't use that person, at all, really. I think that I've also grew to have a dislike to people who have those people in their life. Like, 'cause I'm a person that somebody can come to and have a problem and it's fixed. I'm a person like that. I don't have many people like that. So I had to move a certain way. But I have to move a certain way, whereas not only can I move around a certain way to make sure I don't have to tap nobody and tell them my problems to see if they can fix this roadblock I have. I also have to move a certain way, whereas if people around me that I'm dealing with, cool with, family with, whatever, have a roadblock, that they can come to me. So I have to move double. Move one way where it's like, okay, cool, man. Move this way so you don't need help from this person. You don't need help from this person. You could just, live a certain way. But then also move this way because this person, that person may need your help with X, Y, Z. And I hate that. I ain't gonna lie. I don't hate that. I envy it. I love the pressure of being that person, that go-to person or whatever you want to call it. I don't care. I love the pressure of that. But I hate the fact that I don't have one of those. Like, I want to get me and me. I want to get me and me. I want to get me some. I want to get a person where, like, I can say I got this problem and tell the person it's like it's not a problem no more. Or hell, I tell the person I got this problem and now it's our problem because and just it being our problem then took half the weight off my shoulders because they done made it our problem and it's not just mine's. But all my problems is my problems. But all problems that is anybody else's problems that I know are our problems. So I ain't gonna complain, man. That's not a complaint. I ain't gonna complain. Look, when my podcast be out, this is gonna be short. I want to get that off the chest. I feel good just getting off my chest. I ain't gonna lie. Like, maybe people know I go through that. I don't know, but like I said, the saying they say, check on your strong people, because we go through things as well. And a lot of times it's not that we going through things or we not strong no more. It's the fact that people get tired. People get fatigued. Because you got your own problems you're dealing with. The last thing I need is to deal with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other people problems at the same time. But like I said, man, I know heavy as the head, there was the crown. So it is what it is, man. Another Thinking Out Loud. Love y'all. Keep supporting the podcast. Share the podcast. Look out for the podcast with Lacey and Donald Doe, father and daughter relationship. I like that podcast. It's going to be really, really dope. Hopefully y'all love it. If y'all do like it, comment, subscribe, share it. We out.